Welcome to Personal Mastery Training. I'm your host, Alvin Brown, former world class athlete turned entrepreneur and consultant. Join us as we learn from guests who have conquered their inner battles and share their journeys to success. Get ready for inspirational masterclasses and thought provoking strategy sessions to fuel your path to personal mastery. Let's dive in. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Mastery Alliance, or I like to call it the Cookout. And what we're cooking is soul food. And so we're gonna have someone present the main meal, and we're gonna spice it up. And today we have Raymond Janoc Tanya. He's gonna present to us the main meal. It's a good one, so get ready. Here we go, Raymond. What'd you bring?
All right, what's up, guys? So I had the pleasure of recording a podcast episode this week with someone I've never met before. We kind of seen each other from afar. Very successful real estate agent. Olden is the agency. He's a former football player, and he told me about certain values and things that just carry him all throughout his life, personally and professionally. And it all started from the moment he started playing football. Um, he was just very naive. He fell in love with the game, didn't know anything about it, but decided to see it through. And no matter how many times he fell, no matter if he was good or not good, he just decided, hey, I'm gonna get back up. I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna do what I love. And he carried that same mindset over to his professional career. And again, keeping it simple. I find sometimes we make things so complicated, as adults. We try to have everything in order. We try to do everything perfect. For him, it starts off with really, you have a simple love for what you do. And are you naive enough to pursue it to the best of your ability? Whether people think you can do it or not, if you truly believe it, see it through. See it through and keep going all the way. So that's the message I want us to discuss over this week in our great call. And yeah, I'll pass the mic.
All right, I see Charlie cooking something up. Go ahead, Charlie. Put it in. What you got? What you got?
Yeah, so this is another tremendous topic because there's so much talk I hear in business and in the world about resilience and how to build it, or grit is another buzzword that's really popular right now. And you go back to that word love, and that's such a powerful, I think it is the most powerful word and emotion, right? And highest vibration that we can live in. So when we're in that headspace and in that heart space, we can really do our best work, and we can also be resilient when things don't go well, when the chips are down, we have setbacks, adversity, things like that. I remember one of the quotes, one of the things Steve Jobs said many years ago, said, if you really want to do great work, you have to love it. He said, because otherwise it's too hard and you'll quit. And it's so true. Like when you love what you're doing, whether you have to burn the midnight oil, sleep on a flight, have a night where you don't sleep because you have to get something done, or you have flight delays, all these things you go through, disappointments, setbacks, cancellations, betrayals, you're still going to stay that course because you love it. I think not only loving what you do, but also I think it's just important to love your destination. Like, what's your goal? What's your end game? What are you trying to accomplish? So I love what I do, and I also love the destination. And I think the other thing Steve Jobs said is, in that situation, you won't have to be pushed. The vision will pull you. And I think that's such a great quote. So with that, great wisdom. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
All right, all right. I'll take this one. I'll take this one. I was looking up one more thing. Now, yeah, finding what you love and loving what you do. You know, it's so simple, right? Life is fairly simple. I find we complicate the hell out of it. I've always said that. Life is really simple. But humans, with our higher, quote unquote, higher level of thinking, we complicate it. Animals, there's some advantage, to animals who are driven by genetic code, and they fly south, birds fly south in the winter and back in the summer and so on and so on. There's a great thing about that because I know humans, we cry for freedom, autonomy, and go around, run our own race. But in reality, we we don't use all of our quote unquote freedom. A lot of us are looking to others how to conform, how to be, fit in that box. So how many of us would we say are truly free? Uh, Live in our own, world and so on and so on, live in our own life, our passions, and because the old crabs in a barrel. When you try to climb out of that, you're gonna be ready for some ones or many to pull you back in because it makes them uncomfortable. So you have to be ready. It's not as easy as it sounds to just go out and live and be free. Why do we think we have celebrities that we follow and or leaders that come in and captivate us and, you know, as they say, drink the Kool-Aid? We're all in because we're looking, as much as we scream for autonomy and freedom, we're in this box that we don't want to be the first one all the time to go out and make that push. So someone comes along, they look brave and courageous enough, we look to them and we follow them because they're giving us the courage we need, and so on and so on and so on. So keep it simple. And I'll tell you, when you know Stephen Pressfield in his book, The War of Art, look that book up. It's a great book, simple read, but powerful. He says, when you know what you want to do, when you're on the path to the thing you want to do, you're going to meet resistance. So resistance. And resistance is that those times when you're doubting yourself, when you're scared, when you are apprehensive about making this move. That's when you know you're on the right path. When it doesn't shock you or wake you up or make you nervous, it may not be the 100% right path. You may be getting too comfortable. And humans, as much as it feels on a surface level, as much as it feels safe to be comfortable, to be in the box, on a deep, deep level, soul level, it's painful to wake up every day. We need change as humans, or else we wouldn't be enjoying. Just think about it. Without it's funny. We're a funny group species. When someone goes out to create the first thing, we scream and push back and doubt them, and even sometimes ridicule them and vilify them when they go out to do something new. The telephone, rumors are they wanted to commit him because he said he was gonna have people talk through the ear, and they're gonna let's commit him. He's going crazy. When anyone comes out and says they're gonna fly an airplane, they're gonna do whatever. They're ready to convict them and to call them crazy. But when it's done, we're all in, and we're thankful that they're brave enough to do it. So this continues to be the thing why a lot of people don't push towards what they're passionate about. So when you know what you want to do, when it's the path you should be on, you're gonna meet resistance. It's going to be somewhat quote unquote terrifying. It's going to be scary. It's going to be you almost freeze before you make that move. Before you hit publish to the internet, before you start a business, before you do whatever, you're going to meet resistance. And that's why a lot of people don't jump over that resistance. And we can go back to so many examples. I mean, the reason why I don't call things quotes anymore is because they're wisdoms. You got Joseph Campbell, his whole thing about the hero's journey. When you get a pass, when you're in the the ordinary world, he called it, just living your life. No one's questioning you. You're comfortable. You're safe. You're not making a wave in the pond. No one's looking at you. But then you go to wake up now, you get the call to adventure. Hey, you have this thing, music playing in you. You have this thing that tickles your heart. Let's go for it. Then you enter the special world. You're thinking about entering the special world. And you meet a mentor, you read a book, you see a movie, something inspires you, and you want to go into the special world where not a lot of people are. It's not crowded there, but you're going to meet resistance. You're going to meet allies, enemies. And then if you pass through that, now something has to die. There's a rebirth. So all of this trauma and turmoil goes on. You're gonna maybe, as Dr. Charles said, you're gonna have to stay up late, get up early, go through challenges. Potentially, we talked last episode about forgot who it was. Charlie knows it, who went through 18 foreclosures on his home, right? And he had to push through that, the doubt. And when you go through think about that. Let's go back to it, that conversation. When you go through 18 foreclosures, there's people, you have a family that I'm sure is thinking you're crazy. You have friends who are saying, 18, man, you can't keep, you have a bank. You said last week he calls the bank and they tell him, hey, if you don't have it by Wednesday, I got to shut this down. And you have to go and scrape borrow before you get to the part now where you're making almost $1 billion. But you have to go through that. So, yeah, loving what you do. Uh, Ray mentioned being naive, being like a child. Imagine we go back to the wisdom. Imagine your child. Ray, you have a child coming up now, a second one. She started walking it.
Yeah, he's walking. Yeah.
He's walking. Yeah, he's walking. When did he start doing that again? How old is he now? He's a year, over a
He's
year.
a year old, so about
Year old.
a month ago. A month ago.
Right. Okay. So, if we use Ray's example, Ray, the first time he started to stand up and kind of walk now, did you kind of tell him, listen, yeah, it's not going to work out. You don't look very good at it. So let's shut that down. Right? No, it didn't happen. Ray made him fall. He got back up. Fall bunch of whole times, holding on to things, wobbly, doesn't look good. Doesn't look like it's gonna work out, man.
Mhm.
You're wow, this is not a good start. You're falling, you're wobbling. So, but no, there's an encouragement. And also he has the benefit of seeing his big brother already walking. So, you know what I mean? And everyone's supporting him. So you got to be naive. You got to be able to realize that falling is part of it. And loving what you do, following your heart. Following your heart. What tickles your heart? But you got to be brave. And we talked about the golden handshake last time, which ties into this whole conversation because that golden handshake can be pretty sweet. It puts you in that safety zone. That zone of I'm getting my bills paid and I know what's coming every month. And this one I don't know what's coming every month. It's kind of scary, but I'm loving it. But it's kind of scary. So it's uh it's not an easy road, this idea of following our path, but damn it, it's fun. It will keep you engaged for your lifetime. You will die with purpose. And by the way, it's a path that is never it never ends. You never end. And I'll end it with this. I had an osteopath, and for those who don't know what that is, it's a manual, a person that works on your body and in a holistic way, very holistic way. And she died in her 90s doing what she loved. So that's a really full life. Her name was Viola Fryman, Dr. Viola Fryman. She died in her 90, I think it's 98, doing exactly what she loved. So With that, I'll leave it there and pass that mic.
Can I jump in and add just one thing before you go, Brandon?
Absolutely.
Thank you. When you were talking there, Alan, it made me think of an interview I saw with Elon Musk a few years ago. And it's the only time in all the interviews I've seen him in that I saw him get emotional. And the guy was asking him about him, starting his businesses and, him and his brother live in this one room apartment, right? And they had a couch and a desk. And while one was sleeping, the other was working or rotating on the couch. They were either sleeping on the couch, working on the desk, or had another job trying to earn money. And so that was the rotation. And he remembered having to borrow money from friends to make his rent. And he got emotional, right? Because, and I remember, I didn't even know who he was, but I just remember people saying that he was crazy, right? That he's gonna go crazy. This Tesla thing's not gonna work. This SpaceX thing's not gonna. It's not. And I didn't know who he was. I just heard people talking about it. I'm like, oh, okay, well, and the rest is history, as they say, right? But again, tremendous adversity to get where he is today. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
Amen.
Well, this is Ray. This is more of a buffet than just a singular meal. Single course. It's a whole lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Lots been thrown out. I listening to you guys talk, the resiliency I think is so. Gotta excuse the background noise here.
Love it.
You can hear.
Love it.
There's
Love
about 30 mallards walking by.
it. He's got an audience.
Yeah. They're leaving, so they must not like it. But but on that note too, resilient. From a resiliency and them leaving, an audience leaving. Generationally, there's been an evolution, and I'm not going to pick on the younger generations or anything, but there is a difference in, I think, how society has evolved and what the values are. And I think people have moved more towards a priority. And the thing about priorities change, right? They can fluctuate over time as you reach a certain goal or a certain milestone, or you feel a certain way. Well, that's no longer a priority. I'd rather lay here in bed than go to the gym. I don't feel good. I don't feel like it, right? It's all very feelings and emotional based. And there's a beauty to the pain of it all through the struggle, and being resilient to reach, whatever your goal is. And one of you touched on purpose came up. And I think it's important. You have to know what your purpose is, it's ideal to know what, let me rephrase this. It's ideal to know what your purpose is before starting on that journey. Sometimes you don't always have that luxury. You just kind of, hey, I'm going to try this and figure it out along the way. So that's not the only way to go about it. But the grit aspect, when there's this feeling of accomplishment through the struggle, right? And you look down, your knees are scraped, your elbows are scraped up, you're sweating, maybe a little bloody and bruised, out of breath, but you made it, right? You made it to that end goal. And there's a sense of appreciation, the love for what you've done. And you kind of almost forget about the pain aspect. It almost kind of goes away and fades out, because in the moment it hurt, right? In the moment, those foreclosures hurt. That pain was real. That football player, Ray, that first game, compound fracture, that's real, right? That's real. And it's an extreme, but some of us experience that in that kind of pain and that experience differently in our journey. And I think mindset, we talk about that a lot on these wisdom calls and cookouts about mindset. And there just seems to be maybe it's just, maybe I'm wrong here. I don't know. There just seems to be a lacking of that, taking control of your feelings, taking control of your emotions, being in control of your mind and thinking for yourself and not being so influenced by everything around you. Because some of the things that some of us, each one of us, our lives that we do, it gets tough. And I'm sure each one of us have been told that that's silly. That's not going to work, Charlie. Al, you're nuts. You're going to do what? No. Okay, good luck. You're never going to make it, right? Never. That's a big word. Never going to happen. And here we all are, right? In one way, shape, or form. And that's because of resiliency, adversity, the grit, and loving what we do, having a purpose, and not quitting, not giving up. And that's a whole other conversation about, not quitting. There is a time where, hey, look, this isn't working, right? And we have to be honest. And then because sometimes I've seen folks, their pride takes over and they just keep burying themselves in that hole of debt. They just keep hurting themselves and hurting their family, dragging everyone along. And it's not, they won't listen to the obvious signs and for the feedback or the wisdom of, hey, you may want to adjust course here, right? Re-navigate this. Or maybe this just isn't for you, right? You may think you love this, but this isn't for you, right? And those are hard conversations to have. The mindset, to my takeaways, contribution here is having a mindset that's influenced by the right influencers, right? The people you trust, people that are wise, people that have, that have been through there, and always having that one person that is going to tell you the truth no matter what. No matter how hard it is, no matter how ugly it is, no matter how painful it is, you got to have someone in your circle or at your table, if you will, that is going to be completely honest with you and say, nah, that outfit don't look right, or what you're doing is wrong, whatever the case, whether you want to hear it or not. You have to have that person in your circle in order to continue to be resilient and keep moving forward and grow. So with that, I'll pass the mic for the moment. Till dessert.
I'm gonna read a wisdom for you guys from Charles Bukowski. He says, some people never go crazy. What truly horrible lives they must live. Okay. And and here's what I mean by that. Okay. In my conversation with my guest, he wholeheartedly believes that you need to be a little bit crazy about something. And that's totally fine. And it's funny, I had a conversation with my wife this week. And she was like, hey, Raymond, you need to see more friends and you need to do this and you need to do that. And I'm like, for what? Like, okay, there's time allocated for that in my mind. There's time allocated for me, yes. But she says, whenever you have some free time, yes, you put your family first, but you're always like working on something. You're always building something. I'm like, yeah, because I'm a little bit crazy about this. It's true. I mean, it's like
Thank
that.
You. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's totally fine. Okay. That's totally fine. All you guys said amazing points that I wrote down. I'll go back real quick to what you said, Alvin, about Eli. Okay, my 1-year-old. Okay. And I don't know who was it again, but someone talked about the crab in the barrel concept. We can noticeably see, okay, that Eli, when he started walking, is because we were cheering him on. We were cheering him on. And man, he got that energy. He was so happy and he was walking. Every time we really cheered him on, that's when he kind of got the courage, took his first steps, and There was no fear. He was just super excited that we're cheering him on, you know? So at different stages of our journey, I find it's good to have those people around you. You always have the naysayers. You always have the people saying, oh, this is crazy. This won't work. This won't work. If you do have the people that cheer you on, man, keep these people close. But on the other hand, okay, I think of Deion Sanders, okay, and I'll talk to you guys about Deion Sanders real quick because I talked with my guest about it. It's one of his favorite players, and because him growing up, his parents never came to his games. Okay, the game plan was education, so that's all they focused on. But they didn't know he was actually good at football, and football helped him get an education. Football helped him, develop values, but they didn't care about that. So after games, while other parents showed up, other people showed up, he took his helmet, shoulder pads, and left. He could never stand being there because he was always all alone. But you know what? It built him, it built something different in him also, where he doesn't need the pat in the back. He understands also, okay, that this is on me and that's okay. I mean, I do get support in other ways, but in this thing that I'm truly passionate about, most passionate about, I don't have the support, right? So no matter in which situation you are in, whether you're the one with the support or not, there are good things to take away if you have the right mindset, like Brandon said, if you have the right perspective. It is molding you. Okay, it is molding you. So I wanted to touch on both of these things. Okay, and now if we go back to children, yes, they're crazy. I look at my 1 year old, he's all adventure in his mind, right? So every single day, everything he does, it's all adventure. We have to protect him from himself, but he learns in the process. He grows in the process, right? So I truly believe, man, we are called to adventure. Now we talked about, I think it was Charlie that talked about Elon Musk. It's funny how every call that we have, it touches on something else that I talked about during the week or lived through during the week. But again, in that same conversation with my guest, he tells me about three people that truly inspire him. First one was Elon Musk. Second is Barack Obama. Third is Nelson Mandela. Okay, Nelson Mandela. And he said Elon Musk because imagine how many times Elon Musk was told he was crazy, how many times he was told no. And imagine if he listened, you know, imagine if he listened, all the stuff that wouldn't exist today. So sometimes you're not crazy. People just don't understand yet. It doesn't mean you're crazy. No, see it through. See it through. And worst case scenario, okay, it's a mistake. You learn from it. You try something else. Okay. He talked about Barack Obama too, because I mean, we're not gonna get into politics, whether you like him or not. For him, he's a young Canadian white man, grew up in the suburbs, no black people around, and he thought it was amazing to see this person of color becoming president of the United States because he never thought he would see that in his lifetime. And even me as a kid, I remember listening to comic, like Chris Rock and guys like that making jokes saying, if one day there was a black president, it would probably last 10 seconds because he would get shot, the second he would be elected or things like that. Well, imagine the barriers that got broken. And again, when you see something, it becomes real. There's a new possibility that you didn't think was there before. And lastly, Nelson Mandela, because when we talk about belief and when we talk about resilience, okay, and Brendan touched on it, things evolve. Things evolve over time. Society, the values, they evolve over time. This man, as a younger man, okay, he had a different mindset than when he came out of jail. because he experienced a lot of growth in jail. It wasn't a moment for him to just fester and hate and get mad. And we have to understand, he was in jail for 27 years. You know, not for 1 year, for 27 years. How many people do you know would be put in jail unjustly for 27 years and choose love and collaboration instead of hate? You know, this is exactly what this man did and created something totally new, totally different, and kind of shook the whole world a little bit, you know, because of that. So I think these are very, very powerful, powerful messages, again, of resilience, of grit, like Brandon said, of, hey, doing it your way is also being open enough to learn, to grow, to appreciate the process. You know, as you pursue your purpose, and I think Charlie said it, not all of us know what it is, right? That's actually the difficult part, is finding out what your purpose is. But as you take the first step and as you embark on this journey, you grow, you change, you figure out your purpose, and that's the most important thing. It's really the journey. You know, it's what you allow it to do for you. So I truly believe there's so much beauty in the struggle and in the pain, because it makes everything else so much worthwhile. And it's also, and I know most people don't want to hear that. Even myself, I don't like to hear that, but it's the truth. The pain is non-negotiable. The struggle is non-negotiable. I mean, you can't run away from it. You can't hide from it. You're going to experience it. Whether you want to or not, you're going to experience it. So what's your perspective when you're in it, and how are you allowing it to teach you and mold you into what you need to become? And I'm saying you, but I'm really saying me also, right? Because we're all in this boat. The pain is non-negotiable, right? Maybe it's just understanding this that's gonna get us away from, stop trying to run away from it so much, okay? Run away from it so much and let it become an ally that's always going to be there. As much as pleasure, as much as joy, there's going to be the other side. They're all part of this whole experience. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
Just like that, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Charlie, go ahead, Charlie. I see.
Yeah, that was a great share there with the pain is not negotiable. And I think that's a tremendous point, because most human beings want to avoid pain at all costs, right? And the reality is we can run from it, but as you point out, you can't hide. I mean, it's gonna find you. And delayed pain is worse than it is always worse than direct pain, dealing with it in the moment. And going back to, we started off talking about football and the podcast and the gentleman you interviewed. And it reminds me of when I started playing football, and that was that was the awakening. That was the separation for me, is that I wanted to play so badly, but I was the little cousin. All my cousins were much bigger, and I was too little to play, and they wouldn't let me play. And I had the oldest of the bunch. He had a real mean streak to him. He actually died in prison, so he had a mean streak to him. And so when I would ask to play, his way to get rid of me was to inflict some pain. And he would, and I remember they had this plastic ball, but it was really hard plastic, and it had a real sharp point on either side. And when I would persist, he'd tell me to go out for a pass. So I'd stand there and then he would drill me as hard as he could in the stomach. And of course, kid, I'd drop the ball, I'd cry, run into my grandma. That was the end of it. And one day he said, go out for a pass, and he threw the ball and hit me. And I caught it and I brought it back to him. Go out for another pass. Did it again. Brought it back to him. Now I wanted to cry, but I didn't. The third time he did it, I caught it, brought it back. Said, okay, you're one of us now. You can play. And then now I was the kid that was tough, and I mean I was just getting destroyed. All these bigger kids were smashing me, but I loved every second of it. But at that moment, I understood that hey, if I can embrace this, and the other kids aren't willing to, then I have a competitive advantage. And that that competitive advantage took me all the way to playing Division I football in the States, because I had that willingness to embrace it. And then I figured out if I was the aggressor, there's less pain involved, right? Than being the hitter versus being hit. And so, but it's true in life. There's a wisdom. It's an ancient wisdom, and it's Latin. There's a Latin phrase, and basically it says victory belongs to the bold, right? And so we've got to be bold in what we're doing and what we're trying to achieve, and really embrace pain and befriend it, right? And then get to understand it. And Les Brown said that when we start working with challenges, we start dealing with challenges over time, those challenges will start to reveal their secrets to you, right? Pain is no different. When you start dealing with pain, it'll start revealing its secrets to you. And then that'll give you a competitive advantage. Another piece that you were talking about in this, Ray, was when people try to talk you out of your vision, right? You're crazy, and Alvin was talking about it too, and all the examples we've had of people that accomplish amazing things, from the Wright brothers to the Beatles, but they were all told, you're crazy, and you shouldn't be doing that, right? There's a great wisdom that says talent hits a target no one else can hit, right? Genius hits a target that no one else can even see. So when you're working in your genius, you literally have a vision that no one else can see. So naturally, they think you're crazy. But when you trust your instincts, trust your vision, trust your love, trust your passion, then that'll propel you to the future that you have in store for you. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
Oh, yeah. Love it. Lots here, lots here. So, what do I got? An hour? No. So here it is. Here's a quote I found it while I was looking while you were all speaking. It's Viktor Frankl. He said, "Those who have a why to live can bear any how." And if some of you listening don't know Viktor Frankl, he was in a concentration camp for years and watched people die around him and the whole nine. And he came out and he created logotherapy, which is a kind of a psychology area. And he famous for writing the book Man's Search for Meaning. And that was his thing, was how do you get through that concentration camp? Well, if you have a why, you can bear any what and how, right? You can bear almost any how. So it's that finding that why. And I wrote here also the power of broke. There is Damon John has a great book, The Power of Broke. And it's that idea that when you're broke, there is a certain power in that versus being comfortable. When you're broke, you will sell that t-shirt out of your car. You'll sleep in your car. You will get up early, go to bed late. You'll put away your fears and your shame and your uh, avoidance of no's. You'll get no 200 times to get to that one yes. That's a power broke. When you become comfortable, or you're doing well, you start buying, letting the guard down, buying extra things you don't need to buy, doing all these things and not paying attention. So there's a power in being broke. There's a power in being hungry versus satiated and full. It can cause a lot of us to lose that passion, that dream. And that's the thing about Elon, I would say Elon, from what I don't know a lot about him, but I know he he went from one thing to the next, and he's been divorced a few times and all these kind of things. But he went from one success, leveraging it for the bigger goal. He kept one success to the next and rolled that money. He didn't get comfortable. He rolled that success into another thing and another thing and another thing. Whether you hate him, as we say on here, Ray said earlier, whether you hate him or love him, he's now created this, or blew up. I don't know if he created, but he blew up this whole electrical car industry when everyone was leaning on the fuel industry. So, and now everyone's into their version, their line of the electrical cars. So you think about that, even at that level of success, Ford, GM, they didn't even want to broach into that conversation yet until he brought out the Tesla and started making it popular. And now they start leaning, because they probably knew about this technology, and then they didn't want to do it. Blockbuster Netflix. Netflix was they offered Blockbuster to change with them, but they didn't. Here are these people who are leading the industry, where this wouldn't be a big risk for them to just take another debate. They said no, no, we're not touching that. See, even at that level, there's fear to change. So the power broke. Brandon said priorities change over time. It does. Your 20-year-old self doesn't want, your 50-year-old self doesn't want what your 20-year-old self wants either. But a lot of people then will let it die, let the fire die, when they don't want that. Oh, I don't have to get to the gym anymore. I'm not young. I'm married. I'm this. Let's talk about something as simple as the gym. They let that die down. No, I say switch it, change your priorities then. Change, but keep that vision of your higher self. Change your priorities, but don't lower your standards for what you deserve, is what I would say to that. This isn't working for you. I think Brandon said, I think it was Brandon. Sometimes the thing you're doing, there's multiple failures, quote unquote, and maybe it's not for you. Maybe you shouldn't do this. And that's where I would start taking some deep thoughts, step back, and yes, it's good to have those friends around who tell you that your breath stinks at the party. Man, you need a breath mint, but you have to sometimes step back and maybe keep that dream of being a singer. But how about this? Maybe you're not a great singer, but you're an unbelievable producer and helping other people sing better. Because sometimes not great players turn out to be unbelievable coaches, right? Players that only touch the floor a few times in their life, but they're in the NBA, but you've never seen them. You don't know who they are. Again, we go back to Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr, he did win a bunch of rings, but he wasn't the main player. But now he's been an unbelievable coach. Jason Kidd, I mean, you just go down the line. There's a lot of different players and a lot of examples of people who they weren't Jordan, but man, they turned out to be great coaches. I'm sure Phil Jackson was not a great player either. No, I've never heard of Phil Jackson actually going to the Hall of Fame for his play.
Okay.
Right, for his play, but he's gone there for his coaching. All right. But he did have that experience playing. So maybe it isn't for you, that path, but it's the outcome that you're looking for. I wanted to be a Olympic boxer, martial artist. I don't care. I just want to get to the Olympics. But I didn't get there. However, I realized what I wanted to do was to change people's lives. I wanted my life to be an example for people to be courageous and brave enough because I didn't like fighting. And that's what was my real purpose. I didn't hate somebody, I didn't hate them enough to want to kill them. I wasn't a Mike Tyson. However, I wanted to be courageous enough. So I want to help you to develop courage because I got through my fear of fighting and it became the foundation of my new strength once I got over it. So maybe it's not for you. And then I put here, some people go crazy, and what a horrible way to live. I think Ray, that quote, right? Some people never goes crazy. What a horrible life they must live. Yeah, going crazy, going crazy, going after your dream. I have worked with, as I'm going back and purging my files at work, I've worked with thousands of people over 30 years. And the beauty of my job is I get to work them on a deep level. And I've felt, seen in my heart, felt it in my soul, the withering of a dream and people getting to 40s, 50s, and even mid 30s and not really living their dream. I felt what that feels like. I felt what that feels like. I felt the 67-year-old who is now felt like time has passed and they're going home, maybe retired, 50, yeah, they're retired in their 50s, mid 50s, late 50s, maybe a teacher, to be tired, of police officer, retired early, and just existing now, heading up to the camper but when I say that, I'm not judging, but I'm telling you the truth because I hear the story. Yeah, some people could be retired at 55 and enjoy going to the cottage. That's awesome. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking people who I sense a feeling of regret, a feeling of I could have done more, or they're
See it on her
retired on
face.
yeah, feel it, Brandon, feel it,
Mhm.
see it, and feel it because I get to touch them and I get to talk to them on a deep level. I feel it. So I wrote here when Ray brought up the pain is non-negotiable. I wrote up here which pain would you like to suffer? The pain of regret or the pain of the pursuit? All right, the pain of regret or the pain of pursuit. Which one you want to live with? When you see my body and when you see me, you see scrapes and bruises but you see me smiling underneath all that. Right? Mandela, they put him in jail for 27 years, but you saw a smile because he was in pursuit. All right. They could jail his body and his physical body, but they can't jail his soul, his spirit. There's many stories like Nelson Mandela. There's someone here in Canada, I think it was Hurricane Carter, a boxer. They jailed him too for what was seeming to be rape, and he was wrong. But they said you can lock him up, but you can't lock up his spirit. And he never, I think, in jail they always said that he never seemed to be imprisoned. He seemed to always be somewhat free because they can imprison your physical body, but not your soul. That's the only thing we have control over is where our soul goes, and who you can't hurt me. You can't hurt my soul. You can hurt my physical body, but you can't hurt my soul. Um, and Ray, you were talking about your son cheering him on, Eli,
Mm.
when he was walking, and the bigger you cheer, the more power he got to. This is right from the people who influences him.
Mm.
And I wrote here, go where you're celebrated. Sometimes you need to go where you're celebrated to get that cheering on. Maybe you're not elevating because you're spending time in areas where you're tolerated and you're not celebrated. Because when you're in the right, and it goes to that metaphor, that story of the person who found an old watch and they took it to a pawn shop and they only would give them so much for it, $50 or whatever it might be. And they took it to another place where they're e- exchanging, things they found and getting very little. But then they took it to an appraiser who was a family friend and said, hey, take a look at this. And they looked at it with the magnifying glass and checked out all the carvings and they said, this thing's worth like $50,000. And the whole story was, if you take it to a pawn shop, if you're in a place where they don't know what your value is, they're gonna give you very little for it. And if you go somewhere where they know the value of what you bring, because there's nothing worse than familiarity breeds contempt. If I met Charlie, Brandon, or Raymond, and when I first heard about them, oh man, Ray, I heard his podcast. Dr. Charlie, I heard him speak. Brandon, I heard him speak. Oh, I can't wait to meet him. Meet them, go out for coffee, start meeting them on the regular. Then all of a sudden they're just Ray, Brandon, and Charlie again. Oh, you wrote a book? That's nice. Whatever. Right? You forget because you're familiar now. It breeds contempt. I don't see you anymore. I can't celebrate you anymore. You're now a friend and oh, and you wrote another book. Awesome. Oh, you got Pulitzer Prize. That's all right. And I don't celebrate you as much as a new person who found you, right? So, so the pain is non-negotiable. I love that. And I wrote here, the quest doesn't have to be that you're at the level of Elon Musk. I know some people, my wife actually, she loves taking care of the kids and doing simple things and so on and so on. So again, when we're on here talking, we're not talking that everybody out there has to go on and do the Elon Musk, create 3 companies and put people on the moon and all these kind of things. No, we're talking about just something that you are passionate about. Go for that. Go for that. As long as it's making a purpose and something, right? Making an impact for you. And to wrap it up, Charlie, a couple things. One, Ray, I totally get it. I'm gonna go back to what Ray said when his wife said, you need some time, you need some friends, you need something else to do. And I've been going through that. There's a picture my daughter posts every so often. She'll repost it again and she's 26 now, gonna be 27 soon. And there's a picture of her as a baby on my lap, and I've got a monochrome Mac computer, I think it was, a monochrome. So you're talking way back. I've got one of those ones that were literally green screen, green writing on the screen. And she's on my lap, and I'm studying. Actually, every picture you see, I'll be studying with the kids on me, and while I'm doing it. And so, because I had this vision of where I wanted to be, what I want to do. But I had that also while having the kids and going to every recital and doing everything. So every extra moment, friends and all these other spending 4 hours golfing or whatever, it isn't appealing to me, and it still hasn't appealed to me yet. And maybe it will in 20 years. But right now, not yet. I'm not against hanging out with friends. I just have a fire that I have to deal with.
Yeah.
And there's no time for that yet. Kudos to those who have those. They hang out. And my niece said to me, and I'll finish here. My niece said to me, Uncle, do you have friends? Like, do you have like boys you hang out with? Like, football and Sundays and so on. Like, I've been invited many times to different things, and I can have boys, but and I question myself too sometimes. Where's your boys? Where's your blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, I don't feel like it though. I don't feel like it. That's number one. I just don't feel like it. I could fill my schedule, trust me, with lots of social things, but I don't feel like it. I still have a fire. Still have more books to write. I still have a lot of little things I want to do. Maybe it'll happen, but I'm not going to push it. So, go with the flow. And I think that would cover, and Charlie, lastly, is that piece you talk about the hitter and being hit. You used to be the guy being hit by the football. And then you switch it, you flipped it. And it's so much easier in life when you're on the offense than always being on defense. And that's going after your passion. So with that, I'll end it there. Pass the mic.
There's always a great conversations we hear echoed every time. Ray talked, the pain is not negotiable. How powerful is that? and Charlie, you touched on that and talked about some of that. And sometimes we prolong the pain, or we drag it out. We make it worse than what the original pain would be, right? If we just embraced it, right? I mean, you hear the SEALs and the Marines and military community that they talk about embracing the suck, right? And that's carried over, and you hear it echoed throughout a number of different disciplines and entities. But sometimes we run from it, and that run is painful, right? That struggle is painful. If we would just embrace it, and many times what could have been the original pain and experience is a fraction of what we've turned it into, right? Just with the avoidance piece of it. Yeah, I don't know what much more to add to it than just that. This has been a great conversation, taking a lot away from it for sure. Mindset. I think if we can control our mindset and our emotions, and not be as influenced so quickly and naively, it can avoid a lot of the pain and heartache that a lot of people experience today, whether it's personally or professionally. So that I'll pass the mic.
Not sure if it was Charlie or me. That's me. Okay. I find also, I don't know about you guys, but one thing I try to focus on a lot is being still. But being still does not mean not taking action. It means when to embrace it and when to take action, right? So you're on the street, there's a red light. Sometimes life tells you, okay, it's time to slow down. It's time to stop. It's time to feel what's happening right now. Okay? And it's time to really bait in it. Stop. And then you have a green light. And it's important to know also the light is green. It's time. I've been prepared. I've been molding myself. I've been getting ready. It's not the time now to stop. It's not the time to hunker down, hide. It's time to go, right? It's time to go. And I find this personal mastery dance, okay, is really developing the awareness, the wisdom to decipher when is which, because they're both important. Playing offense is also game planning, right? It's also game planning. It's understanding what you're up against. It's understanding which play to run, when to run it, right? If we go back to sports, it's being tactical, but also taking action at the appropriate moment. And all of that, I believe, has to start with being still. To first craft your vision, okay? To be able to align it with your values, with what's truly important. Do you even know what's truly important? No. Things evolve in life, situations evolve. Maybe it's time to debrief. Maybe it's time to reset. Maybe it's time to reevaluate. If I just go, I cannot see sometimes. I cannot see if things have changed. I cannot see if I need to tweak something, adjust something, right? So being still is very important. I believe that's a very bold thing, courageous thing, strong thing to do. It allows you to have greater impact, in my opinion, and to have more powerful actions when you do take them. And that's the hardest thing because, as we said, pain is non-negotiable. Everything in our mind is wired to avoid pain. So the hardest thing to do is to be still. We want to react, okay? We want to either run away or we want to do something really, really quick, even though maybe that's not the exact thing we wanted to do, right? But then we never reach that level that we can potentially reach, you know. And I find, again, as I looked at kids, infants, children, man, they're so interesting to just observe. You know, they're so interesting to just observe because, man, they apply this so much more than we do. They do. They do. And that's why all they do is grow. That's really all they do. They observe, they grow, they try, they fail, they cry if they need to, they move forward if they need to. So I'm very grateful to have these two little teachers um, in my life right now. They're teachers, really, really, really are, for sure. So I'll pass the mic with that. But yeah, being still is also so important, I believe.
Great point. I'm glad you brought that up, Ray, because it is an essential ingredient to really, and I was writing in my notes, to take inventory where
Yeah.
you're at. What tools do you have at your disposal? What experiences have you had in your life that even though they were difficult, uncomfortable, or maybe even horrible, but now how can you leverage those experiences to help you, to propel you forward? How do those experiences separate you from your competition, right? Or how do those experiences help you help others? But you have to slow down and take inventory of that. And I always say we're playing chess in this world, not checkers, and definitely not tic-tac-toe. It's a chess game. And anyone that's listening that doesn't know how to play chess, take some time to learn. It won't take you that long to learn the moves. But after you learn the moves and see the board and play a few games, you'll understand very quickly the depth that's there and the combinations that are there. And life is a lot like that. And you have to take time to survey the landscape, survey the board, figure out what is your next best move and make that one. So I think these are all key ingredients in giving you the best outcomes. And the more you play, the more you learn, the more you grow, the wiser you get. Rinse and repeat. And it's an awesome journey. With that, I'll pass the mic.
Yes. So this whole conversation again about loving what you do. You know, I think the world, especially after pandemic, you know, the world needs more of a lot of people. The pandemic was pretty significant for a lot of people, and a lot of people lost a little bit of hope in the world in a way, and for many reasons. For many reasons, the noises of division and the noises of distractions got a little louder during the pandemic. So a lot of people lost their way and lost a lot of courage because of hope, loss of hope. And so, you know, this conversation of loving what you do is, I think, one of the antidotes to that is for people to step back and kind of reflect on what brings them joy. And it's the antidote to today's apathy, because a lot of people are leaning on a leader to tell them how to feel, to tell them what the world is going to be like in the future. And it's right now, a lot of people aren't spewing the most hopeful things for the world. You know, we're teetering. It feels sometimes it feels like we're teetering on destruction, and you know, so on. I've heard a lot of people say, "I don't want to have kids in this world because of what's going on." You know, again, no hope. I'm Jesse Jackson. Go back to that quote I love by Jesse Jackson, or the wisdom he left. Back in the 70s, you were saying kids are shooting dope in their veins because no one's shooting hope in their brains. And so, you know, what we're shooting a lot of people are shooting is you know, a loss of their dream, a loss of their passion for life. And it doesn't have to be that way because there's a lot of opportunities. A lot of people have came out of this pandemic doing well. Influencers and new divisions have been created because of the internet, online coaching, and so on and so on. So there's still, I want to remind everybody, there's still a lot out there for us to. There's a lot of people who's living their passion off of TikTok and social media. Comedians I've seen who have blown up, getting Netflix specials because of they've utilized what's there. So just want to remind everybody that as much as it may seem hopeless because of the noise and the distractions, this is where we got to go back into our souls and think about what lights us up, what makes us come alive, and then having the courage. Once you do that, start making your master plan. Okay, so this guy says, what lights me up? And by the way, a lot of things that you've done in the past, go. Charlie talked about taking inventory. How do you find, it's a great conversation. How do I find what I love though? I don't know what it is. Well, go back and think about everything you've done in your life. All these things that look like they aren't part of the path, but they actually are. You've had, experiences in and out of your passion. It's happened. You've gone in. Maybe you like presenting at work, and it should be something you're selling something. Everything you've gone through is a glimpse of maybe what you should be doing. There's glimpses. We have glimpses. Did I not make the Olympics because I wasn't a great boxer or wasn't a great martial artist? I also danced competitively and I danced professionally a little bit. What's all that even mean? Now I'm a therapist and an author. And what does that even mean? See, back in the day, when I work therapy with people, I work a lot with the average folk, but a lot with performers. And I love inspiring them to do their art. And I find dance helped me to do that, to be expressive and tap into that artistry. And then martial arts gave me the courage. And then, so again, go back and look at everything you've done. And you think it's non-related, but it is. It's little glimpses, things you've signed up for, things you have of even done in school at the time you thought was a passion, but it didn't turn out to be. But there's something in it though that was part of that whole mix. There's some ingredients in there. Find that link that links all of the things you've done together. And in that is your passion. In that is the thing you really want to do. Then have the courage to start putting them together. Go around people you're celebrated that celebrates you. Join groups online now. Maybe a book writing club that you want to write a book. Join an art club that you want to paint more, draw more, take pictures, whatever it is. Find it. Learn how to podcast. I don't know. Join Toastmasters. They do speaking and presentation. There's way too much to do. Way too much to do. But find your passion. Find what you love. Light it up. As I said before, and I wrap it up here. When I touch people, I am not just touching your muscles and your joints. I can feel the pain of your regret. I can feel the energy of your passionate journey. I can feel all of it. Because 93% of communication is nonverbal. 58% is body language. And 55% is body language. 38% is how we say it. So that means we're all reading somebody every day. We're reading people. And we can tell where your energy is and we all say it. I know a lot of people move away from the woo-woo. Oh, that's energy stuff. No, but we say it all the time. Man, I love that person's energy. Oh, they're so engaging. They're vibrating. I can feel you, Charlie. You've said, I can feel you from the stage. Brandon, I can feel Brandon's passion from the stage. Ray, I can feel him through the podcast. That's why that podcast did well. I can really feel it. See, we're feeling all the time. And now you can also feel, man, they look depressed. Wow, their energy is low today. We all feel it. So let's light that up. Let's light that up. That's it. So I'm gonna leave you with. Don't die with your music still in you. All right,
I got two things I
go
want
for
to
it.
add. Yeah, real quick. So, thinking about our past, and Al, you were talking about, things you had experienced in your life, from dancing to boxing and martial arts, and now you're like, now I'm a therapist. And Charlie, you talked about taking inventory. I took some inventory recently, and it's a great exercise. I highly recommend for anyone. But really going all the way back and kind of looking at your life experiences and skill sets you've learned, and they all connect, right? Guaranteed, during that time of dancing and working with people and boxing, there were moments where you were a therapist to people. You were sharing wisdom to people, and you didn't even know it in the moment. That just got you to where you're at, right? It's that like a layered cake, right? It just stacked on itself, and now look where you are today, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it all happens for a reason, right? The journeys we're on, the experiences in life, everything Elon went through, right? We brought him up a few times, even Barack Obama and his life and journey to becoming president, just incredible. So I'll leave it with that on the inventory piece. The other thing I wanted to add, I just couldn't pass up, and it's so fitting with the pain. And Ray, what you said, pain is non-negotiable, and that's right. And we were talking about hope, and people are pouring hopelessness into folks. They're feeling hopeless for many reasons. A couple years ago, I came up with an acronym with a group of folks, and that has to do with the work that I do professionally. And the acronym is for HOPE. And HOPE stands for hold on, pain ends.
Mm-hmm.
And just, if you can be resilient, get through that struggle, the grind, if you will, that pain will end. And then you come out on the other side, and I've been sitting out here. This might be my last time sitting outside by this pond. The sun's up, right? And the sun will come out, right? And you will experience that joy and that fulfillment of your purpose and what you're doing. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
Well, just drop it like that, huh? Okay, okay, that's it. All right, just real quick before someone else jumps in, and I'm gonna vibe off of what Brandon just said, and I thought he was gonna go there a second, but I thought, he's gonna steal my thing. That's what I was gonna say. Here's what I was just gonna add is, when we're looking back, I know we mentioned looking back and taking inventory on everything I've done, and I've mentioned all the kind of dance into this, but don't forget your pain too. See, Brandon wouldn't be who he is, this deep soul that everybody can sense, and the speaker that he is, if he didn't go through his pain of almost, thinking about the end, suicide, and all the struggles he's gone through, and so that makes him that powerful speaker. Dr. Charlie has stories about his father, things going on growing up in America in the '60s, and with his father, and David Goggins has his pain that now he's used to leverage, and so again, Ray has his father, and different things. So the pain is also a part of when we're talking about reflecting and looking at the things that have gotten you where you are today. Don't forget about the pain too, by the way. We're not talking about just the sexy stuff. We're talking about the painful stuff. So I pass the mic on it.
Yeah, we need another hour now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Until next time. Until
Until
next
next
time,
time.
everyone.
Dot. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll add real quick, and I'm sure you guys can attest to this, is the strongest people I've seen are the people who have some type of scar, visible, invisible. They've been through battles. They've been through something, and that's why they're so strong. So let's not forget about that. If we want to be strong, hey, there are certain things we got to go through, and that's why life is here.
Yep. The pointy football in the stomach, and he had
Yep.
to get back up. He went home and cried, but he came back again the next day. So, all right, with that, so we'll wrap this up with our final last word and then our greetings, and we're out. I think we're satiated with that conversation.
Yep.
So, last words. Who wants to take it?
I'll go with feel. Okay. It's important to feel. Feel the pain, feel the warmth of your purpose, what's pulling you. Feel the joy, feel, because I speak for myself, but I've been programmed to put feelings aside, right? To just keep moving forward, no matter what. What's the next play? What's the next thing? This fall down, okay, solution, go. Take inventory, feel all of it. That's my word for a week.
To go with bold, boldly go forward, and you won't regret it.
I'm gonna take one from the great legend Brandon Anderson, and it's called. I'm gonna take his word. Hope. Hold on, pain ends.
Yeah.
However, you have to keep moving forward. Pain will not end in a passive way, sitting and hoping only for someone to come save you. Hold on, the pain ends as long as you're in motion. Just keep going. Courageously move forward. Because even with, if you're in, and Brendan speaks to the space of, say, alcoholism or whatever it might be, but even with alcoholism, they have to move on. They have to keep moving forward and finding the help they need. Many people I know who are afraid to even join a group, that pain will never end because there's no moving forward. So I love that word, hope.
Nice. Right on. I'm going to go with embrace. Whether it's embrace the pain, embrace the joy, the gratitude, embrace the struggle. Just going to embrace other people, embrace the moment of being still, the warmth of the sun on my face right now that I'm just loving every second of it. Just embrace where you're at, right? And again, piggybacking off of Al, just keep moving forward, keep that journey going. Be courageous in what you're going to do.
Amen.
That I'm done.
Done like dinner.
Done.
All right.
Let me put this into a phrase real quick, guys. You'll see. So feel, embrace where you're at, hold on, pain ends, so boldly go forward. All of them together.
Wrap it up.
I love it.
The blueprint for finding what you love. That's it. Living a full life. Amazing. All right. With that, then we will end with our greeting because we're full. Well, we wish you peace in your life.
The love.
The love of it all.
And we're going to bring it all together with feeding the soul. All right. All right. Love it, everybody. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Again, in the show notes, we'll put where we can find everyone and get more of them. Each person here is contributing, making an impact in their own way and in their own space. And together we can help as many people as we can to, again, feed the masses, feed the soul. Today's an information age. We have tons of information, but we're lacking how to take that and make it something. That's what we're doing out here. All right, until next time, everybody have a great, it's Labor Day. When you read, by the time you listen to this, we'll be past through Labor Day. It drops on a Thursday. But I hope you had a great Labor Day and enjoy the moment. And fellas, I hope you have a great Labor Day in the moment right now.
Yeah,
all right.
To you. Thank you, my man.
All right, everybody. Have a great one.
You too.
Take care, guys.